When United States Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick sat down for a podcast interview this year, he told a story that quickly made headlines. Years ago, he said, when he and Jeffrey Epstein shared adjoining townhouses in Manhattan, he and his wife walked next door for a visit. Epstein offered them a tour. Right off the living room, in a large dining room, they found a different kind of table. A massage table took up the center of the room. Lutnick didn't share what else he saw in there, but he recounted a conversation where Jeffrey told him he got a massage every day. The right kind of massage, he said. Lutnick claims he and his wife were so unsettled that they vowed never to be in the same room with him again. He then added something bigger. Epstein, he declared, was the greatest blackmailer ever, that he blackmailed everybody. Lutnick seemed to leave it unsaid that he was included in that group. On its face, this anecdote paints Lutnick as both close enough to Epstein to glimpse the truth, yet disgusted enough to keep his distance, while actually setting up some alternative blackmail claim to inoculate against future disclosures. But when you look more closely, the account falls apart. It reads not like a brave disclosure, but like a careful exercise in self-protection, a performance designed to shield Lutnick from suspicion at the very moment Epstein's shadow is again looming over America's political class. Lutnick's first move is the balancing act. By recounting his visit, he establishes credibility. He was there, inside the townhouse, with first-hand impressions. By adding his wife and their disgust, he asserts innocence, proximity without complicity. It is the classic pose of the innocent insider, a stance that carries the authority of access without the stain of involvement. Yet that same stance exposes a glaring hole. If Lutnick truly believed he had seen the lair of a predator, why did he never act? He did not report Epstein. He did not warn colleagues. He did not testify when victims were pleading to be heard. His silence stretched across decades. Their time as neighbors, Epstein's 2008 plea deal, his 2019 arrest. It makes sense if Epstein had dirt on him, but after Jeffrey's death in jail, he was free to talk. His bigger concern seems to have been keeping things quiet. Only now, in 2025, does he come forward, not under oath, not in sworn testimony, but on Podforce One. The timing makes his story look less like moral duty and more like preemptive damage control. What's most revealing, however, is his certainty. Lutnick does not speculate that Epstein might have been a blackmailer. He says it as fact. He describes Jeffrey's MO as, get a massage, again presumably from personal experience. He then says, Epstein was the greatest blackmailer ever. He blackmailed people. That's how he made money. Who were these people? Where does this certainty come from? That unexplained knowledge is the heart of the strategy. By leaving the source vague, Lutnick cultivates mystery. Perhaps someone confided in him. Perhaps victims complained. Perhaps he knows more than he can admit. He never says, and that silence makes people lean in. The audience supplies the missing link, crediting him with inside information. The gap itself becomes a credibility booster, ensuring that future statements he makes carry more weight. This is not the language of whistleblowing. Real whistleblowers reveal facts and sources. They hand evidence to investigators. Lutnick, instead, reveals nothing verifiable and carefully withholds the reason for his confidence. That ambiguity is not a weakness in his story, but its central feature. It keeps him looking like a man in the know, while shielding him from scrutiny. The strategy becomes clearer when we consider his position. Both the FBI and the Justice Department have said repeatedly that there is no credible evidence Epstein maintained a client list or possessed videos of him trafficking minors to powerful men. FBI Director Kash Patel reaffirmed that conclusion under oath in an unpersuasive performance at the Senate. Now Lutnick, a member of the cabinet, now contradicts other members of the administration. Why? Perhaps he has inside information that Trump, his longtime ally, plans to finally release the investigative files. By contradicting the official narrative now, he makes his story seem like a rogue act. He positions it as less contrived, less coordinated with other untrustworthy elites. It's a hedge, not a revelation. Seen this way, the late timing is no accident. Lutnick stayed quiet when it mattered. He speaks now, when it protects him. His story gives him all the advantages of proximity, all the cover of disgust, and all the aura of insider certainty, without a shred of new evidence. It functions less as testimony than as an alibi audition, and the pattern extends beyond him. Elites caught in Epstein's orbit have a playbook: disclose a sanitized anecdote, emphasize how disturbed you were, float a sweeping accusation, and let the mystery of your knowledge hang in the air. Each element reinforces the others. Proximity grants credibility, disgust grants innocence. Suspicion prepares the ground for whatever records may surface. This narrative vaccine protects reputations without advancing justice. The effect is corrosive. These stories do nothing for victims who remain silenced and sidelined. They do nothing for accountability, since they add no evidence to the record. What they do accomplish is personal positioning, distancing the teller from guilt while preserving the credibility of someone who always knew. It is self-exculpation masquerading as moral outrage. Howard Lutnick wants us to see him as a man who glimpsed Epstein's darkness and recoiled. In reality, his performance shows us something else. How elites inoculate themselves against scandal, how they rewrite silence into foresight, and how they prepare their reputations for reckoning before the reckoning arrives. The public should listen carefully. When powerful figures begin rehearsing tales of disgust and certainty without evidence, it rarely means they have found their conscience. It usually means they have read the tea leaves. If Epstein's files are about to see the light, Lutnick's story is not the first shot of truth-telling. It is the opening act of damage control.